Hi everyone, and welcome to the first unit of our transmission line discussion. The main purpose of this is to just introduce what it means to treat something like a transmission line and be able to recognize situations where you would need to use transmission line theory. So an analogy that I think of when I'm trying to explain transmission lines is the thought that before telegraphs became readily available, you would have a historical event, say a war ended, and it would take time for that news to travel everywhere. So even if in our history books say the war ended at precisely this day, it actually takes quite a bit of time for that news to reach everywhere where it would be relevant, and sometimes even before the news reaches there, people would still be going about their way like it hadn't happened yet. And that's precisely what happens with transmission lines. So if you think back to when we learned circuit theory, we operate on the assumption that whatever happens on a wire, if you change the voltage on one side, that it happens on the other side instantaneously. But in reality, nothing travels from one side to the other instantaneously. It takes time, right? So if you change the voltage over here, it takes some time for that change to propagate to the other side of the wire. And furthermore, if there's any kind of impedance mismatch, it takes a while for the steady state to be reached. And so you might run into situations where you need to worry about the transient effects, and you're worried about time scales where maybe the circuit doesn't have time to settle down within the time scale that you need it to, because you're maybe making a really fast circuit. And so that's when you need to watch these videos, dust off your textbook long after you've taken this class, and brush up on your transmission line theory and utilize the effects. So again, so that's kind of what it means for something to be a transmission line, and that analogy kind of gives you an idea of when you would be able to need to use these theories. So again, it's kind of in situations where the time scale is really, really fast relative to the time it takes to travel over the length scale that you want. And through the following lectures, we'll kind of go into that a little bit more and come up with some rules of thumb that you can use to decide whether you can treat these wires like wires or whether you need to use transmission line theory.